Imagine if your SAP automation never had to wait for someone to press a button. Imagine an engine that quietly watches for new business requests, assigns every request a unique identity, records its own audit trail, and prepares everything for SAP. That's exactly what we're building today. Introduction. Welcome back to the SAP Mobility Engine series. In the previous episode, we built the Outlook infrastructure. Today, we're taking the first real step toward autonomous SAP automation. By the end of this lesson, our engine will continuously monitor the Outlook mobility rightward arrow in folder, detect new requests automatically, assign each request a unique mobility ID, record it in the processing queue, append an audit trail, and move it into the processing folder. No SAP execution yet. Today, we're building the engine that makes all of that possible. Listener engine. Every few seconds, the listener quietly checks the Outlook mobility rightward arrow in folder. If there are no new requests, it simply goes back to listening. But the moment a new email arrives, the listener immediately wakes up and hands the request over to the queue manager. This small change transforms our framework from button-driven automation into an event-driven system. Queue manager. The queue manager becomes the owner of every new request. It generates a unique mobility ID, records the request in the mobility queue, updates the request status, and prepares the request for the next stage. Every request now has its own identity from the moment it enters the system. That single mobility ID will follow the request throughout its entire journey, from Outlook to SAP, and finally back to the user. Audit trail. One feature I'm particularly excited about is the built-in audit trail. Instead of storing processing history only inside Excel, the email itself carries its own history. Every important event is appended directly to the email. When the queue manager processes the request, the email records the time, the processing stage, its current status, its mobility ID, and exactly what happened. As the request moves through the engine, that audit trail continues to grow automatically. The email becomes a traveling record of the entire business process. Live demonstration. Now let's see everything working together. I'll send a request into the mobility rightward arrow in folder. Watch what happens. The listener detects the new request automatically. The queue manager assigns a mobility ID. The request is logged into the mobility queue. The audit trail is appended to the email. The subject is updated with the request status. Finally, the email is moved into the processing folder. Ready for the next stage of the mobility engine. No manual intervention. No button clicks. Just an event-driven workflow doing exactly what it was designed to do. Closing. At this point, our engine can already detect requests, track them, identify them, and prepare them for execution. But it still doesn't understand what's inside the email. That's exactly what we'll build in the next episode. We'll teach the mobility engine how to read the business data, extract fields like material, quantity, plant, and movement type, and transform a simple email into a structured SAP request. That's when our mobility engine will begin to think. If you're interested in SAP automation, Excel VBA, Outlook automation, or enterprise workflow design, consider subscribing and following this series. Each episode adds one real capability to the mobility engine. By the end of the series, you'll see how a simple Outlook email evolves into a complete SAP transaction with built-in validation, approval, execution, and auditability. I'll see you in the next lesson.